Hi, welcome back to my channel. I am here to do another book review for a book I just finished. It's my personal goal to make a video almost immediately after finishing a book, and it's something I'm trying this week, and I will see how it goes going forward. I just read Healthy Heart, Healthy Brain, okay? And it it further says the personalized path to protect your memory, prevent heart attacks and strokes, and avoid chronic illness. It's written by Bradley Bale, MD, and Amy Doneen, DNP, with Lisa Collier, Cool. Now, this book, I have to tell you, was absolutely fantastic. It's a very serious book. It really focuses. I'm just trying to bring it back up on Goodreads. It's very technical, I guess I'll use that word. It's a very technical book because it describes all the various facets of heart disease, memory, Alzheimer's, chronic illness, strokes, heart attacks, with lots and lots of detail that shows how we can work to protect ourselves from these issues. Now, I don't know what it is about me this week being able to read all of these nonfiction books and to be able to glean so much, because when I list my favorite genres, I even have an auto type. If I type the letters FAV space, it'll populate all my genres. Guess what? Nonfiction is not on there. Health and wellness is not on there. Memoirs are not on there. Biographies are not on there. But that's what I've been reading this week is all of those nonfiction titles, and I have to tell you, I feel so edified, so full of mental energy for all the things that I've been learning this week. Now, one of the things about this book that I learned, what note did I want to start with? All right. Oh, the way the book is written, it led me to Google because it talked about cat in the gutter. And it mentioned cat in the gutter 3 or 4 times in the first few chapters. And I just kept listening, and I kept listening because I got this as an audiobook arc, and it's on the Libro FM app. But you can get it at Audible, you can get it at Kobo, you can get it at anywhere, in any format, probably even your library. Well, what is cat in the gutter? Cat in the gutter is plaque in your arteries. Okay, so that was like noted, duly noted. So when I looked that up, it gave me a link, and I clicked it, and I found a Facebook group. In fact, I found 2 Facebook groups. And I'm going to link these in the description below. One Facebook group is the Bale Doneen Method, and the other Facebook group is the Heart Attack Stroke Prevention Center. Now, I felt like, I don't know how I can describe how I felt. I felt like I just won a prize because I sat here and I cross-stitched and I listened to this book in 2 sessions. Half of it this morning, then I took a nap, and then I listened to the other half. Straight through, pretty much. It's an 11-hour audiobook, so on 2-speed it was 5.5 hours. So I listened to it 2 hours this morning and 3.5 hours this afternoon, with no drifting of my mind, no distractions. I just kept on stitching and kept on listening. So let's read the author notes, the publisher notes, and I'm just going to read them directly from Goodreads. It says, boost your cardiovascular health, Optimize your mental strength and prevent and reverse arterial disease with this personalized plan from the founders of the renowned Heart Attack and Stroke Prevention Center. That Facebook group that I told you I found. You'll want to read every page, and in parentheses it says Amen. And believe me, you will. And I want my husband to read this as well. Did you know that every 40 seconds someone in the U.S. suffers a heart attack or stroke, and every 65 seconds someone develops dementia? The culprit is cardiovascular disease, and rates are soaring in younger, seemingly healthy people. Busting every myth we have about cardiovascular health, including that women are less likely to suffer from heart attacks and strokes, world-renowned cardiovascular specialists Bradley Bale, MD, and Amy Doneen, DNP, have pioneered a life-saving method to prevent these devastating events and reverse the disease that causes them. The Bale-Doneen method transcends the medical silos of cardiology, neurology, endocrinology, and others with a holistic approach designed to protect and optimize the health of the heart, brain, and other vital organs, as well as the blood vessels that supply them. With laser-sharp focus, Bale and Doneen provide the latest research on how your oral health is contributing to the decline of your heart. Captivating and revolutionary, Healthy Heart, Healthy Brain is a unique and comprehensive program to prevent chronic diseases and memory loss in people of all ages, regardless of their body type, medical history, or genes. Offering a roadmap to lifelong arterial wellness, it includes precision medical methods to prevent diseases of aging, the best and worst supplements and foods for your heart, 10 lifestyle moves that lower dementia risk by 35%, information about genes that raise cardiovascular risk such as smoking, and the top 10 heart attack prevention tips for women. Healthy Heart, Healthy Brain will equip you with the knowledge you need to approach your health care as an empowered and informed patient. Absolutely fabulous, fabulous, fabulous book. There are no reviews on this book. I'm simply going with, I'm trying to pull up my bookmarks because I wanted to share something else. I actually have to get my phone because that bookmark is on my iPhone, so I'm just going to shut this off and I'll restart it. Okay, I grabbed my phone because I bookmarked the preview of this hardcover book, and I did it on this iPad that I'm doing the video on right now, so I had to go ahead and get it on my phone. And the reason I got this is because of how the book starts off. I really, really wanted to share some things from the table of contents and from one of the first chapters in this book, and then I'll go back to my notes. So, the first part is the breakthrough, and it talks about, for example, a plan that is guaranteed to prevent heart attacks and strokes. Can you imagine that? Guaranteed. Then it talks about arterial health assurance. Another one is about why plaque attacks and what to do about it, and that's where we learn about the cat in the gutter. Part 3 is healing your arteries. And then it talks about achieving optimal arterial wellness. Now, even though this book says in the blurb that it helps you to deal with heart attacks, strokes, and Alzheimer's and chronic illness, it really, really focuses on the heart. But there is something that this book calls that I just absolutely loved it. It's called The 4 Horses of the Medical Apocalypse. The 4 Horses of the Medical Apocalypse with regard to health, and they are coronary artery disease, diabetes, cancer, and Alzheimer's. Now it says that these 4 horses might be riding the same steed. So why does it say that? It says that because your health is so interconnected. The book talks about your dental health and gum disease. That can lead to heart disease. It talks about high blood pressure, which we know leads to heart disease and stroke, or can lead to heart disease and strokes. It talks about obstructive sleep apnea. That leads to heart attacks and strokes. And there's systemic inflammation of the arteries. Again, can lead to heart attacks and strokes. So these authors, Bale and Doneen, they created something called the Bale-Doneen method. And in so doing, they have come up with a plan to help to prevent heart attacks and strokes. So you have to ask, well, is that possible? And then it shows that there's an action step that people can take that assesses our heart attack, stroke, and dementia risks. Now, in so doing, in this plan to prevent, there's a questionnaire, and I'm just flipping through the preview to get to it. Now, I should be recording on my phone because now you're going to have to struggle to see. Let's reduce the contrast. Now I made it too light. Okay, we'll go ahead and give me a second, please. Okay, so there are these questions. I'm so glad that I was able to Google this book and find the preview, because if I were to write these questions down while listening to the audiobook, I would have never been able to get all of them. But we're going to talk about a few of them. The first question is, how old are you? And the way this works is there's going to be just several choices, and the choices assign a point value. So for a male younger than 55 years old, it's 1 point. For a female younger than 65 years old, it's 1 point. A male that is at least 55 years old is 4 points. A female that is at least 65 years old is 4 points. So I am 61, so that's 1 point. Then the next question is, do you have a family history of heart attack, stroke, or Alzheimer's disease or dementia? No is 0 points. Yes is 4 points. In my family, there is heart attack. No stroke, no disease, no Alzheimer's, no stroke or dementia, but heart attack, yes. So I have to hit yes for me. So far I'm at 5 points. So there's several questions. I think there's 20 questions. I'm just going to jump ahead. Which of the following best describes your sleep pattern? I sleep soundly 6 to 8 hours at night. That's 0 points. I sleep restlessly for 6 to 8 hours at night. 2 points. Or I sleep less than 6 hours or more than 9, 3 points. Well, I have to assign myself 3 points. So I had my notepad and I answered every single question. So as I got to the bottom, let's just throw in 2 more questions. How about 2 more? Do you drink regular or diet soft drinks? Never, 0 points. Rarely drink soft drinks, diet or regular, 1 point. Once a week, diet or regular, 2 points. More than once a week, 3 points. Well, I never, so I was able to give myself 0. Now here's the kicker. The lower your score, the better your heart health. Okay? My score was 43. 4-3. Now, what does your score mean? Okay, 2 to 4 points. Congratulations, you're taking excellent care of yourself. I'm not reading the whole paragraphs. 5 to 10 points. Although you have relatively few cardiovascular risks, you'll benefit from learning how to optimize your heart and brain health with the easy action steps in this book. 11 to 20 points. You have definite risk for arterial disease. 21 to 39 points. You're at moderately high risk for cardiovascular disease. Remember, I'm not reading the entire paragraphs. There's much more. 40 points or higher. You're at a high risk for cardiovascular disease. Now I will read the rest of this one. To prevent a heart attack or stroke and reduce your risk for dementia, we recommend getting a comprehensive cardiovascular evaluation that includes the tests described in Part 2 of this book. In Part 3, you'll be able to learn which therapies and lifestyle changes are most likely to help you ward off all cardiovascular events and memory impairment. Remember, I scored 43. Ironically, I do have congestive heart failure. So it's no surprise that I scored so high or so poorly on this test. Very, 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 very helpful. So let's go back to the table of contents. Whoops, I left it, but I'm just going to bring it back up. Okay, so then the book part 2 talks about tests that you can have. Like every year, oh my goodness, what is the name of the test I have? I have an EKG every time I have a physical, but I have I think it's an EEG. I'm not even sure. I have like an extensive heart test every year. I go to the hospital and test takes between 20 and 40 minutes, and they measure and they look at every part of my heart. Like I know which part of my heart is enlarged. I know which part of my heart is damaged, and what they're doing is they're measuring this every year. So that's what part 2 talks about, is steps and tests to figure out what's going on with your heart. And then for those of us who do have heart disease, or for those who are at risk for heart disease, then part 3 deals with healing your arteries and steps and strategies and lifestyle changes to give yourself better heart health. And as we talk about better heart health in part 3, it also talks about Alzheimer's, strokes, other chronic illnesses, obesity. And I think I wrote this down, not wrote it down, I typed it up, that did you know that a larger waist is an indicator of metabolic syndrome? I certainly didn't. This book also tells us that there's a medical bias for overweight people. We all know that. We're judged by that. And sometimes with this medical bias for overweight people, the authors were saying that sometimes doctors won't do more extensive tests because they look at your weight and say, oh, just lose some weight. But sometimes more tests are needed. As a matter of fact, there are biomarkers that our bodies have, and these give warnings that help us. As a matter of fact, a couple examples of warnings, how our body gives us warnings. The first example is if your car's check engine light went on and you remove the light bulb, well, that would not solve the mechanical problem for the car engine light coming on. Another example or comparison or illustration is if your car's temperature gauge went into the red zone, you could add coolant to the engine to prevent catastrophic damage from overheating. So that's why this book was so instrumental for me. My husband suffers from hypertension. I have congestive heart failure. I'm 61. He's 68. And this book is very, very, very relevant. It's very medically written, but it's very easy to follow. I never once felt that the authors were talking down to me or talking over my head. I felt like they were including me in these discussions. And what they did is they had maybe 20 patients that they tracked through the course of the book. And the book itself was something like 400 pages or something. How many pages was this book? Yeah, 464 pages. So they tracked patients who came into either to the ER or from the operating room or came in off the street and were in desperate physical failure regarding their heart or whatever, and how they use the Bale Doneen method to turn these patients' health around. There's one patient who was 84 years old, I don't remember her name, and she lives the life of a 60-year-old because she applied the principles in the Bale-Doneen method. I don't know if my cardiologist employs the Bale-Doneen method, but you bet your bottom dollar when I have my physical I think it's in a month or so. I have to check my calendar. I, I I'll then know when my next cardiovascular tests are. I will find out if either my primary or my cardiologist employs the Bale-Doneen method, because I have a will to live. Yes, when I get depressed, I get suicidal. Yes, I do. But that's just a trigger from being bipolar and having PTSD. But when I'm in my optimistic frame of mind, which is probably 95 to 97% of the time, I want to live a long time. I have 10 grandchildren and one step grandchild. So I've got 11 children that I want to see grow up. I want to see those babies grow up. When those babies come over here, I want to play with them and I want to interact with them. When my 14-year-old grandson comes over, I want to beat him at chess. I don't want him to beat me at chess. Oh, and then there's something else about Alzheimer's, about reducing the risk of Alzheimer's by 35%. There are some ways, like further education, learning another language, good communication, reading. Guess what? I'm a reader. Playing brain games, like I think it's Luminosity. I think I have that on my phone, but I think it's Luminosity. Just all kinds of ways that we can further our lifespan by employing healthy ways to live. So I don't think there's any other notes that I wanted to bring out. Oh yeah, I I did write down old thinking versus new thinking. Uh, the way that cardiologists and specialists are looking at the heart and the brain, gum disease or obesity, or like say that's why soft drinks came up. Like you can even lengthen your lifespan by eliminating soft drinks. So the old thinking versus new thinking is science is evolving, medical science is evolving, and so there are ways that people can have better chances to live a much better life. So those are some of the things that I learned in this book. I hope that uh, what's the word I want to use? What's the phrase? I hope that I've piqued your interest so that perhaps you may want to get this book. Either you'll buy it or you'll get it from Audible or your library or wherever you want to get it. I will link it in the description below, and let me know in the comments if this is something you'd be interested in. All right, thank you very much. Bye-bye.